So, I mean, the whole thing about the Blue Man Group thing is that, I mean, they're really just discriminating against people that have hair. Because, I mean, you can't, oh, hi, sorry, it's Keith Explains time. We were talking about the Blue Man Group. I don't know why. We talk about weird things. Tonight we're going to talk about a weird thing. We're going to talk about the movie Daredevil, which I went out and saw with my buddy Peter on Saturday. Daredevil, it's a movie, made it from a comic. I guess the comic's been around for like 30 years, but I, as a kid, never heard of it. I mean, the only real comics I ever heard of as a kid I remember I had a lot of Scrooge McDuck comics, and I had some Mickey Mouse comics, and I had some Archie comics, I remember, and I probably had a couple superhero comics. I think I had a Superman or two, but not a heck of a lot of comics, because my parents didn't really believe in comics, because that would involve spending money on things, whereas it's better if I could just amuse myself with sticks. So I spent a lot of time in the backyard with a shovel. I was trying to dig a hole to China at one point, although I never somehow got below about 1.5 feet. No matter how hard I dug, it wouldn't be that deep. I bet my father was out there filling it in at night just to keep me from getting a really deep hole in the backyard that would make his life miserable. Anyway, tonight, the Daredevil movie opened this last week, made like God knows how many millions of dollars, which I'm happy about because I own me some Marvel stock. Although I didn't go to see the movie because I own the Marvel stock, and I disclose that fully so that you'll know that you're not going to make decisions about what to do based on my stock buying habits. But it's nice that they made a bunch of money. I don't know why they made a bunch of money, because the movie was not really that good. Like I said, I saw it with Peter. Midway through the movie, I leaned over to Peter and said, "What do I owe you for the ticket?" Peter went, $9. I went, great, I just wasted $9, because it's not a $9 movie. Maybe it's a $4 movie. Like if you saw it and you were in the right mood. I mean, Daredevil. It's got Ben Afleck in it. Ben Affleck's the main character. He's Daredevil. Daredevil's a superhero. But he's not your ordinary superhero. He's a blind superhero, which you'd think being blind would be a kind of a handicap to being a superhero, but not for Daredevil, because Daredevil has super sensory perception in the remainder of his senses. So he can hear everything and be really spooky and sneaky, and he's really buff, because all superheroes are really buff. And I'm surprised there aren't more gay superheroes, given how buff they all are. But that's sad. Daredevil. Movie starts with one of these long, swoopy credit sequences, just like the beginning of Spider-Man. Remember watching the beginning of Spider-Man? It was all this swoopy web stuff, and it was kind of pulling out. It looked like jeans, and then these words kept showing up, and it kept swooping around. I mean, this one, it's kind of like you swoop around the city, and the little windows turn into braille dots, and the braille dots turn into people's names, and more swooping. And I don't like the swooping opening credit sequences. I don't really like opening credit sequences at all, because opening credit sequences they're keeping me from the movie. Just credits should be like 30 seconds long. It should be, here's the name of the movie, so when it plays on TV, you'll know what movie it is. Here's the 6 guys in it, just their names, bang, 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 and then boom, into the movie. But that said, it's got, who else has it got? It's got Jennifer Garner in it. She apparently is one of the current hot chicks, although I didn't know it until I read it on the internet. Everything I know I read on the internet these days, it seems. But she's in Alias, which is some movie it's just some series on ABC I never watch, because I don't watch TV anymore, and I don't watch hour-long shows, because hour-long shows are just too darn long. Daredevil, like I said, movie opens, it's Ben Affleck. And sometimes I'm going to call him Matt, which is his character name. Sometimes I call him Daredevil, because he's got a secret identity. Secret identity's Matt, character's Daredevil. Sometimes I'm going to call him Ben, because it's Ben Affleck, which when I think of Ben Affleck, I think he's that guy in Mallrats. You know, that guy that likes to have sex with women in uncomfortable places. Or, occasionally I think, he's that guy that won the Oscar for writing the movie with his friend that had Robin Williams in it about the math kid. Man, did they luck out on that. Because, I mean, they won Best Original Screenplay, which pretty much means there were no good original screenplays that year. Because it was an okay movie, but it wasn't a Best Original Screenplay unless you're up against bad original screenplays. But anyway, so it's him and a bunch of other guys. He's dressed all in his little leather I am Daredevil outfit, and he's holding on for dear life to the cross at the top of a church. And then they're swoopy and they cut, and he's rappelling down on his little cable inside the church, and then he falls and a priest runs over and he's near death. Then he's like, and the priest talks to him briefly, and then flashback, and then we zoom back to his youth, to the youth of Matt. And Matt's a happy-go-lucky little kid. He lives in Hell's Kitchen. I found out Hell's Kitchen is one of the neighborhoods in New York. It's on the west side of New York. Apparently it's not a good neighborhood in New York. Like if you go, I live in Hell's Kitchen, people are going to go, oh, I'm sorry. Although they now have a website, and on the website they're trying to play up the neighborhood as like, it's not as bad as you've heard. And a lot of nice people live here and we all care about our neighborhood. I'm thinking, no, it's not going to work. With a name like Hell's Kitchen, you're not going to win this little argument. People are going to think, well, that's a bad place to live. But little Matt lives here, along with his dad, who's kind of a washed-up boxer. And little Matt goes to school, and he's bright, he's smart, he's a smart little whippersnapper. But since he lives in Hell's Kitchen, he's got to fight. His dad doesn't want him to fight, because his dad's a boxer, and he knows that boxing is not the way you want to live your life. Kids out there, take that as a lesson. Don't be a boxer, you'll end up like Mike Tyson. So, little Matt's dad doesn't want him to end up like Mike Tyson, biting the ears and everything. So he wants him to study, be a lawyer or a doctor or something. Little Matt occasionally has to have fights with little bullies, or has to run away from them because he's a little girl and not good at fighting. And he comes home and his dad's all tired and he's trying to study, and his dad, he's worried about his dad because he thinks his dad is involved with bad things. He's heard that his dad is working as kind of an enforcer for the local mob guy. And his dad's like, no, I put in 2 shifts down at the docks. I don't have time to be a bad guy. But now his dad is a bad guy, because little Matt runs across him out in the back of some guys just beating some shopkeeper for not chipping into the mob or something. So little Matt is horrified. He drops his report card. On his report card we can see he's an all-A student before he runs off into a chemical disposal yard, wherein his face is accidentally flooded with horrible mutant biochemical whatevers, and he is blinded. Sob. But he wakes up in the hospital. He's got the little I'm blind bandages on, which lets us know he's blind, although we knew that from the trailers. But he's not just blind. The mutant chemicals have made all of his other senses so much better. So like his sense of hearing, really good. He can now hear everything in the room, and everything in the rooms next to him, and it's way too loud, and it terrifies him for a while. But he learns that his super hearing and super smell and super touch and whatever allow him to get kind of a 3D picture of the world around him. And they got some cool visual effects for this, because they got them computers these days that can do the cool visual effects. And they map it out. It's kind of like, sonar or bat echo radar or whatever the heck you want to call it. It's cool, the little visual effects. Like, he gets a little 3D picture of what the hospital room looks like, even though he can't see no more. So now poor little Matt's blind. He goes back, has to live in Hell's Kitchen, because that's where Dad lives. But his dad feels horrible, because he was an enforcer and he told his son he wasn't. And so his dad decides to turn his life around. And he starts training for boxing again, and little Matt starts training with him, and they both promise each other, we're going to do the right thing, we're going to fix our life, etc., etc., etc. And his dad starts winning fights again, and little Matt, he's been doing a little building up his body thing, and little Matt manages to just whomp the heck out of some bullies, because bullies, when they see a blind kid, that's pretty much free points. I mean, you don't need to worry about losing a fight with a blind kid, because pretty much if there are 3 of you, he ain't going to see all the punches coming, because he ain't going to see any of the punches coming. But see, Matt's got the cool the super sense radar, so he just whomps the heck out of the bullies. And his dad going on doing the fighting, and one night his dad discovers a horrible secret. He hasn't really been doing that well at boxing. Many of his fights have been fixed. The other guys purposely took dives. But this week, it's Matt's dad's turn to take a dive. Local crime boss has decided all the money's the other way, whatever. So he's out there and he's going to take the dive, and the other guy hits him and he falls to the ground. Then he hears little Matt in the audience yelling at him, "No, Dad, get up!" And he thinks, "No, I promised my son we're going to do things right. We're not going to do this kind of crud." And he gets up and he beats the other guy. And you can see the mob people in the audience are unhappy because the guy who was supposed to lose didn't lose, so they lost money. So after the fight, little Matt's out waiting outside for his dad to come out. Hears a horrible noise around the side of the theater and runs around. His little dad, his big dad, has been killed by the local mob guy, by Kingpin. Although little Matt don't know that at the time. Kingpin, big bad guy. See, he killed the dad, then he threw a flower on him, it's one of them calling cards. If you're going to be a super criminal, you got to come up with a calling card. Like one of the James super criminals had a little kitty with him. A fluffy little kitty, and he'd pet the kitty. That was his calling card. Dr. Evil has the little, see? If you're a super criminal, you got to have a calling card of some kind. No calling card, you're a regular criminal. And you're taxed at the regular criminal rates, as opposed to being taxed at the super criminal rates. Anyway, flash forward 15 years. Now we're in a courtroom. And now it actually is Ben Afleck. Because before, it was young Ben Afleck. It was some actor playing Ben Afleck. Being a young Ben Affleck, young Matt, whatever. Now it's Ben Affleck. He's in court. He's cross-examining some loser, some rapist who did some horrible things to some woman. And he's trying to get a conviction. He's marching around. He can tell the guy's guilty because he can hear his heart rate and he can hear a little heartbeat faster when the guy lies. But of course you submit that in court as evidence. You can't go, Your Honor, his heartbeat went up 7 beats a minute. He's lying, because the judge is going to go, what do you know? You're a blind guy. As it turns out, the rapist is not convicted. He's acquitted. He walks out of the courtroom. And Ben is mad. Ben is angry because he lost. Now here's what I couldn't figure out. Ben is a lawyer in private practice. Lawyers in private practice don't prosecute cases, they defend cases. See, lawyers that prosecute cases work for the state. They're called prosecutors. Someone has got to just send the guys from LA Law over to read the Daredevil script. They can point little crap like this out. Anyway, Ben loses his case. The rapist gets off. So that night, instead of going out drinking, Ben is forced to go back to his house, strap on his leather I'm Daredevil suit with his little hat with little horns, and he's forced to go out and bring justice to the world. And by justice, what I mean is he's forced to crouch in the attic of the sleazy bar where this guy, this rapist that just got off, is meeting with all of his buddies, talking about how he just got off, didn't get convicted of rape even though he did it, so that someone can point at the ceiling and go, who's up there? And then, Matt can go, I'm justice. And then he can jump down and beat the heck out of everybody in there. Because that's what justice is. Justice is jumping out of the ceiling, beating people up when you don't win in court. A lot of people miss that. A lot of people think justice is blind. Ah! Yeah, I just thought of that. But see, a lot of people don't realize that blind justice needs to put on a red leather suit and carry around a cane and whack people a lot. Which justice is apparently great at, because when you jump down in a bar, if you're blind, you can start whacking light bulbs so that they go out. And you can fight just as well when there's no light in there as anyone else. And people can shoot at you, and you get your cool little 3D impression of what the bar looks like, because you're that kind of cool 3D impression of a bar kind of guy. And then you can punch people, and you can have people shoot each other, and all kinds of things. And the guy you're after, the sleazy rapist, he can eventually race out of the bar, and you can chase him down to a subway, and he can hide kind of in a subway station that's totally empty, because we all know no one takes the subway in New York. That's why subway stations are totally empty. And you in your little red leather suit can kind of wait and be sneaky and not see, but you can sense the guy at the other head, and then you can race across the room and whack him with your cane and knock him onto the tracks. And you can watch as the subway train rides down the track and slices him in half, because that's what justice is. Blind justice is rapists being cut in half by subway trains, or something like that. Here's something else I was thinking of when I was watching the movie. You know, if Matt were a better lawyer, he wouldn't have to be a superhero. You know, if he could win a case once in a while, he wouldn't need to have a set of 5 or 8 leather suits at home, each with little braille dots for the day of the week so we know which ones to wear. I mean, what's going on here? Just maybe he needs to devote his energies to studying the law as opposed to mail ordering leather suits. Just a thought. The visual effects in this movie are pretty cool. I mean, the whole 3D thing is really neat. One other thing I noticed when I'm watching the movie, they only ever show the little 3D effect being in front of Matt. Like, wouldn't it work just as well behind him? Couldn't he hear things behind him and have a little... I mean, it should really be a 360-degree radar, because that's why it would be cool. You couldn't sneak up on him. But they only ever show it in the direction his head is facing, which was kind of wrong. Anyway, so after Ben murders the guy, he goes back to this church, and then he confesses to a priest. You know, yeah, blah, blah, justice, blah, blah. And the priest's like, it can't do anything here. I mean, the book is pretty clear. You don't kill people. God can kill people. Whatever. So this is near as I can tell is Ben's life. I mean, he's going out at night, beating people up to get some weird sense of vengeance justice. He's living in the weirdest place. It's like an apartment in New York that's weirder than the apartment that the people on Friends live in that it's huge, which, since he is a lawyer, keeps talking about how none of his clients pay him, you're thinking, how could you possibly afford this place? And it's all stone and kind of gothic, and it's filled with statues and gargoyles, and like I said, he's got the room filled with, you know, like the 7 leather suits, one with each day of the week, so he knows which one to wear. And I have no idea where he's getting all this money from, because it'd be expensive to be a superhero. I've thought of being a superhero, and predominantly it's been the expense that's kept me from doing it. Well, that and leather against my skin kind of gives me a rash. But I can get past that part. I could like wear silk underwear under the leather. But this is Matt's life. You know, he sleeps in this weird coffin that's filled with water. Because of course, since he hears everything, it must be really hard to sleep. So he's like sleeping in one of them altered state boxes, which must give him some really wacky dreams. He's got no girlfriend, because we hear his girlfriend break up with him on the phone. And as he's going out at night, like he comes back and he pulls out a tooth from the fight, because other than having really good senses, he doesn't have no superpowers. Like, he's not like Wolverine, he doesn't heal really well. He's chomping Percocet and crap for the pain. His back is covered with scars, etc. He's kind of leading a miserable existence. Then one day he meets the girl, the alias girl, the chick. Movies got to have girls in them. I mean, girls won't go see a movie that doesn't have girls in it, pretty much. And guys won't go see a movie that doesn't have girls in it, unless it involves robbing a bank or breaking out of a prison camp. So all movies have girls in it. This one has Jennifer Gardner. She's Elektra. She walks into his little coffee shop one day when Matt's in there, and he's blind, but he can tell she's good looking. And then they have some witty banter that involves a blind joke, which just didn't go over for me. And she doesn't really want to have anything to do with him, because it turns out she's the daughter of a billionaire. So she gets hit on all the damn time. He doesn't know she's the daughter of a billionaire. He just knows she smells good. So he like tries to get her name, and she won't give it to him. And then he follows her down the street, which is stalking, against the law. They can take away his legal license for that. Then they have this little fight in a playground on a jungle gym, because that's what you do. It's kind of like foreplay. and witty banter back and forth, and she's like, oh, I'll find you, and then she's got to leave because her bodyguards have shown up, thinking, you got dumb, bad bodyguards. If they let you go into a coffee shop and then walk down the street and have a fight with a blind guy, your bodyguard should be protecting you. That's why you hire bodyguards. So she and Ben start to have a little thing. And they meet, they talk. Ben takes her to the roof of this building and like, I used to love the view from here. It's so beautiful. And I'm thinking, no, it's crappy. Okay, 15 years of not seeing things has warped your little mind. And then it starts to rain. And Ben apparently loves rain because when it rains, he can see everything because the raindrops make noise everywhere, and then he can see things. This is important later. She doesn't like the rain because she's a normal person. She's standing in the rain. Sudden downpour, getting wet. After that, they go back to Ben's apartment. They do the nasty. I mean, they had to do. I actually don't remember them doing the nasty because I think before they did that, I leaned over and told Peter a joke, which was, we were in Ben's apartment. I remember we said it was filled with statues and stuff. And suddenly it occurred to me why his apartment would be filled with what were statues of naked people. Because if you're a blind superhero with this cool 3D sense, a statue of a naked person is in fact porn. So this is blind guy porn. So Elektra, she invites Ben to this big whoop-de-doo party that her dad's having. Her dad, the billionaire, who also is an ambassador. He's Greek. She's Greek too, I guess. Now, she's a super ninja person. Her dad's just a probably quasi-corrupt business person. And apparently the Kingpin has decided that it's time to kill the Greek quasi-business person and frame him as the Kingpin. Because this reporter's been getting kind of close to who the Kingpin is. Thinking 15 years, if you don't know who's in charge of crime in your city over 15 years, you've got to hire new cops. Because they ought to have a clue after 15 years that it's that really tall, imposing black guy in that really good building out on the side of town that no one seems to know what he does. But no, they don't. So Ben goes there and he meets the Kingpin, and they don't like each other because superheroes and supervillains know and don't like each other. And then Kingpin, drops a red flower on her father's thing and says, it's been nice knowing you. And this guy knows he's marked for death, so he thinks, well, I'm going to get out of here, which is dumb, because why would you just get out of there? Why wouldn't you do something? But they flee, and Kingpin has brought over this Irish super dart-throwing guy called Bullseye, who apparently can throw anything with deadly accuracy and kill people. So this guy meets up with the limo as Elektra's dad and Elektra are fleeing across town at high speed and kills the drivers really quickly and then zooms around. But Matt has been following on rooftops trying to protect her because he knew something was wrong. So he jumps down and the super bullseye guy throws something at Matt and misses because Matt's got the super radar. He can avoid things as they're coming at him. And this enrages Bullseye. So Bullseye kills the guy he's supposed to kill, but now he hates Daredevil because Daredevil made him miss. But in killing him, Elektra thinks that Daredevil was part of killing her dad, so now Elektra hates Daredevil. And no one else in the city really believes Daredevil exists except the scum. So now Elektra's decided to kill Daredevil. Bullseye's decided to kill Daredevil. Daredevil's trying to get it on with his hot babe chick, even though her dad just died. You got to give girls a couple days room when their dads just died. Doesn't work if you try to up the relationship at that point. Just give it some time. They'll come back to you. Anyway, so Matt's out. He's patrolling the city. And he's on a rooftop, and it's filled with laundry. And then Elektra darts out from behind the laundry. Oh, here's a tip. Don't leave your laundry hanging up on the line overnight, because it's just going to get wet again. See, in the morning, the dew is going to come. It's going to get your laundry wet. You want to bring your laundry in before nighttime. But it's very good if you happen to be fighting a blind superhero who only hears things, because the flapping laundry will confuse him, and you can dart out from behind him and try and kill him if you happen to be his girlfriend, but you don't know you're his girlfriend. So they have a fight, Elektra and Matt on top of a roof. And then she stabs him with one of her pointy knives. And then he falls back against the building, and he's dying because she stabbed him like practically right through his heart. And then she's like, I want to see your face. So she takes it off, and it's her boyfriend. And this is horrible because instantly she knows, oh, my boyfriend didn't try and kill my dad. It must now. See, there's no reason she should know this. Like he made some vague protestation, but he's not even saying nothing now, okay? I mean, he's dying, but he's not trying to cover his butt or nothing. So suddenly Bullseye pops up, and he decides it's time to kill Elektra because he's supposed to kill the whole family, apparently. And it couldn't have been bothered to kill her like 3 nights ago. So he pops up. He and Elektra have a big fight. He eventually kills her. Now this makes Ben very, very sad and angry. So of course he races across town on it with his bad little shoulder that's been stabbed and his little zippy cane back to the church. And that's where we came in the movie. So he drops down through the church, and the priest kind of, is just trying to talk to him, give him absolution. Maybe he's going to call 911 or something. Then Bullseye walks into the church because apparently Bullseye, in addition to being able to throw things really well, is an expert tracker. He and Bullseye have this huge fight in the church after the priest leaves because Bullseye tells him to. And they're destroying the inside of this church. They're racing up and down across the pipe organs and stuff. And Bullseye discovers Ben's secret nemesis, his Achilles heel, which is you got to make really loud noises, and it drives him mad because he hears everything. So Bullseye's trying to make loud noises, but Ben kills him, or doesn't kill him, but Ben very, very mortally wounds him and throws him through a stained glass window, and he drops onto a roof of a car, and the police have surrounded the church. And Daredevil, who like 10 minutes earlier was at the edge of death's door, has now summoned the energy to fight this Bullseye guy and beat him. So now he thinks, well, what I need to do is go across town and beat Kingpin tonight, as opposed to waiting a day or two to kind of get my strength back. Ben goes across town to Kingpin. Kingpin, of course, in that mano-a-mano thing, has decided, well, what I need to do is tell all my bodyguards to leave the building so I can wait here all by myself so I can punch Daredevil into submission. So they get there, and for a brief while, it seems Kingpin's going to win. Because remember, Daredevil can see everything because he's got the cool... No, it doesn't work with Kingpin. We don't know why. They're having the fight, and Kingpin's just beating the heck out of Daredevil, and you're going, oh, he's going to... But you can't lose. It's a movie called Daredevil, not called Kingpin. So Daredevil remembers, and he whacks some water thing, and the whole room fills with water, just spraying everywhere. I don't know why. Suddenly, it's like rain. He can see really well in the rain, so he just punches the heck out of Kingpin, punches him into submission. He's about to kill him. Kingpin's like, yeah, you're going to kill me. And Daredevil's like, no, I'm going to leave you here so the police can arrest you. Thinking, how do you know the police are coming to arrest him? I mean, nothing in the movie has made you think this is going to happen. But it does, in fact, because that's the end. I mean, except for this brief scene in the credits where Bullseye throws a syringe through a fly in his hospital room because it's bugging him. It's a weird movie. It's been a lovely week. It's an okay movie. Not a good movie. It's worth $3. Or you could watch it on HBO. We'll come up with another topic for next time. Till then, it's been lovely. Bye!